Have you ever wondered how a simple farmer's son became one of the world's most notorious drug lords? El Chapo, born as Joaquin Archibaldo Guzman Loera, started his journey in the humblest of beginnings. Born into a poor farming family in the remote mountains of Sinaloa, Mexico, his early life was marred by poverty and a lack of opportunities. His father, a cattle rancher, struggled to provide for the family, often leaving young Joaquin to fend for himself and his siblings. But the seeds of ambition were already sown in his heart. As a teenager, he was introduced to the lucrative but dangerous world of drug trade, an industry that thrived in the shadows of his hometown. It was a risky path, but one that promised a way out of the crushing poverty that had defined his early life. With a blend of audacity and cunning, he quickly rose through the ranks of the Guadalajara cartel, one of the biggest drug trafficking organizations in Mexico at the time. His innovative tactics and ruthless approach to business saw him gaining favor within the cartel's leadership. He was known for his ability to move large quantities of drugs across the border, a skill that earned him the nickname El Rapido, or the Fast One. By the mid-80s, El Chapo had become a key player in the cartel, overseeing operations that spanned across continents. His net worth began to skyrocket, reaching an estimated $1 billion at the peak of his career. However, his rise to power was not without its dark side. His brutal tactics and disregard for human life made him a feared figure within the underworld. His name became synonymous with violence and intimidation, sending shivers down the spines of both rivals and allies. But as his empire grew, so did his ambition. He began to envision a future where he stood at the pinnacle of the drug trade, a kingpin unrivaled and unchallenged. Little did he know that his rise to power was just the beginning of a story that would captivate the world. In just a few years, El Chapo had made a name for himself in the cutthroat world of the drug trade. At the peak of his power, El Chapo was more than just a drug lord. He was an innovator, a strategist, and a ruthless enforcer. His rise to power was unconventional, and his reign was marked by a unique blend of fear and respect. El Chapo was not merely content with traditional smuggling routes. He was a pioneer in his field, constantly devising innovative ways to transport his product. Submarines, tunnels, even cans of jalapenos were not beneath him, if it meant successfully moving his product across borders. But it wasn't just his smuggling strategies that set him apart. El Chapo was infamous for his brutal enforcement tactics. He ruled his empire with an iron fist, never hesitating to use violence to maintain order. His ruthlessness became his calling card, spreading fear among rivals and ensuring loyalty within his ranks. Yet his influence wasn't confined to the underworld. El Chapo's power reached into the very heart of the Mexican government. His wealth allowed him to buy silence, compliance, and even cooperation from those in power. He was, in many ways, a shadow puppeteer, pulling the strings from behind the scenes. Speaking of wealth, at the height of his career, El Chapo's net worth was estimated to be over $1 billion. That's billion with a B. He was among the wealthiest men in the world, all earned from the seedy underbelly of the drug trade. Yet, for all his wealth and power, El Chapo's reign was not one of luxury and leisure. It was a reign of terror, marked by violence, fear, and a constant battle for control. It was a reign that would eventually come crashing down. El Chapo's reign was marked by fear, violence, and unprecedented wealth. A reign that, despite its brutality and illegality, changed the face of the drug trade forever. A reign that, for better or worse, will be remembered for its audacity, its brutality, and its ingenuity. Despite his criminal activities, El Chapo was seen as a Robin Hood figure in his home state of Sinaloa. Now, you might be wondering how a notorious drug lord garnered such a reputation. Well, that's the paradox of El Chapo. In the midst of his illicit activities, El Chapo was also known for his philanthropic efforts. His home state, Sinaloa, was a beneficiary of his largesse. It was a region that had been largely overlooked by the state, leaving its citizens vulnerable and in need. El Chapo emerged as a benefactor, providing resources where the government had failed. During the COVID-19 pandemic, when the world was in the grip of fear and uncertainty, El Chapo's generosity came to the fore once again. His organization distributed food packages to the needy. Each package bore the name of El Chapo, a constant reminder of the source of this charity. The local communities, in turn, revered him. They saw a man who stepped up when they were abandoned, a man who dared to challenge the status quo. But let's not forget, this is the same man who, at the peak of his career, was worth an estimated $1 billion, all amassed through his ruthless and cunning tactics in the drug trade. This is the same man who instilled fear in the hearts of his enemies and ruled his empire with an iron fist. This duality, this paradox, presented a conflicting view of El Chapo. On one hand, he was a ruthless criminal, a wolf preying on the weak. On the other hand, he was seen as a local hero, a sheep providing for his flock. This dichotomy made it difficult to paint him in a single stroke, adding layers to his already complex image. El Chapo's story is a testament to the blurred lines between good and evil, between sinner and saint. It's a narrative that forces us to question our preconceived notions, our black and white understanding of the world. El Chapo's public image was as complex as the man himself. El Chapo's story wouldn't be complete without his daring prison escapes. Joaquin Guzman, known as El Chapo, masterminded not one, but two audacious prison escapes that became the stuff of legend. The first escape happened in January 2001, when El Chapo was serving a 20-year sentence in a maximum security prison. The details of the escape are shrouded in mystery, but it's widely believed that he was smuggled out of the prison in a laundry cart, with the aid of corrupt prison officials who were handsomely rewarded for their complicity. Once outside the prison, he was whisked away in a getaway vehicle, disappearing into the night and leaving the authorities red-faced and scrambling for answers. El Chapo's second escape was even more brazen. In July 2015, while serving another sentence in maximum security, he vanished right under the noses of his prison guards. This time he used a mile-long tunnel, equipped with lighting, ventilation, and even a modified motorcycle on rails for quick transportation. This tunnel led from the shower area in his cell to a construction site outside the prison. The audacity and complexity of this escape stunned the world and left no doubt about El Chapo's resourcefulness and cunning. The aftermath of each escape was like a scene from a movie. The authorities launched massive manhunts, but El Chapo proved elusive, disappearing into the rugged terrain of the Sierra Madre Mountains and the labyrinthine network of tunnels in his stronghold of Sinaloa. He became a symbol of defiance, a folk hero to some, and an embarrassment to the authorities. These escapes were more than just daring breakouts. They were a testament to El Chapo's immense power, his ability to bend others to his will, and his uncanny knack for always staying one step ahead of the law. His audacious escapes only added to his notorious reputation, making him seem larger than life and in some ways untouchable. El Chapo's escapes cemented his reputation as a figure who seemed untouchable, but even the most powerful kingpins can't evade justice forever. This truth rang clear as day when Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the man who once sat atop a billion-dollar criminal empire, was finally captured for the last time. This capture, unlike the others, led to his extradition to the United States, where the magnitude of his crimes would be laid bare for the world to see. His trial was nothing short of a spectacle. Evidence of countless atrocities, tales of unimaginable wealth, and testimonies of his ruthless cunning filled the courtroom. The verdict was as expected, guilty. El Chapo was sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years. His reign of terror, his vast empire, reduced to a solitary cell in a maximum security prison. His world, once limitless, now confined to mere square feet. The man who once seemed invincible, now merely an inmate. El Chapo's downfall marked the end of an era in the world of drug trafficking. In the end, what do we make of El Chapo's life and career? From humble beginnings, Joaquin Guzman, known worldwide as El Chapo, rose to become the most notorious drug lord of his time. At the zenith of his reign, his net worth skyrocketed into billions, a testament to the vast and intricate empire he commanded. His innovative tactics revolutionized the drug trade, making him a feared figure in this dark underworld. But his story is not merely one of power and wealth. His audacious prison escapes showcased his cunning, while his aid to communities during the COVID pandemic painted a complex picture of a man who was more than just a criminal. Yet, the fall was inevitable. His capture marked a significant victory in the ongoing war on drugs. El Chapo's story serves as a stark reminder of the complex and brutal world of drug trafficking. His legacy continues to echo in the annals of crime and justice, a chilling testament to the human capacity for ambition, ruthlessness, and survival.